All right, everybody, here we go on in the book of Job. We're now in chapter 3, and the last time we did this, we were doing CDs, and we had put it once on CD, and then a couple years later, we were going to do it again, and our machine broke, and I never finished this. It was a request from one of the old-time studiers. Well, now, old studier out there, you know who we are. We're going to get her done for you. But now in 3, we've already read that even through all these plagues that Job was not sinning against God. All right, now he curses the day he was born. Now, is that a sin? Does the Lord not tell us to love not our life to the end? Well, the bottom line is every one of us are going to get to the point where it's easier to go on and be with the Lord. And that's not a sin to want to go be with the Lord. Okay? So we're going to explore that as we see all the things that's happened to him here. The fact is that even though all the accusations by Eliphaz and Bildad and Zophar, they're all wrong. He isn't sitting here cursing God. He isn't blaming everything on God. He just is not. So it's a natural event for someone to get to the point where they're ready to go. That's part of life. Well, we'll read on here in 3, and you can tell me what you think out there, studier. So here we had a 7-day fast. And in 3 here we go on. It says, after this opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. Let that day be darkened. Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. All right, so he does not want his birthday celebrated, okay, because of this great casting down. 5, let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. So this is he's very down, and there's a spiritual end to this darkened light. Okay. 7, it says, lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. Okay, and here's a subject that's going to go on here in Job, and that's the stars. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day. Okay, so this is very poetic here. And it's very depressed. Okay. So, part of life is these days where you're down and out. Folks, do you know anybody that never gets down and out in all this? All right, in 10, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. 11. Why died I not from the womb? Question mark. Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Now, question mark, like I said, you could see where this kind of talk could be saying, well, hey, you're not relishing the gift of life that God gave you. Is this not a sin? But not in this case. This isn't like he had everything going for him and he just was bucking the Lord and saying, why am I born? Okay? Here he did not sin against God Almighty, and yet he's plagued by Satan. His hedge is down, and so everything has to be applied correctly. But you could see where if you heard someone talking like this, that you'd think, well, hey, God give you the gift of life. But there's another side to it. Again, it is natural to get to the point you're ready to go with God. Okay, and he's talking about his birth some more here in 12. It says, why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breasts that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept, then had I been at rest. Okay, so you see, this is the toil of life. And if you read 2nd Esdras, we just went through it again. The toil on both sides, the pitfalls on both sides, the plight to get through that door to life. It's a lot of toil. There's a lot of suffering that goes in life. It just does. This is your trial. It's not going to be hunky-dory the whole way. And that's the way we have it here. We all have to go through the trial of life. We just do. 14. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves. So he said, why did I live? Or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses full of silver. See, these are sinners here. Or as the hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. So, yeah, once you're gone, the rich man, the plaguer of humanity can no longer get you, because you're there in the bosom with Christ. 18, it says, there the prisoners rest together. Okay, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. Okay, and we're getting our share of the oppression today. I know some people are so delusional that they don't see it, but it's surely happening. And it, no matter what, if you ain't felt it, you will. The oppressor, the greatest of all oppressors, is out here roaring, and his name is Satan, and he has his operative, the Antichrist, that is beelining for us. Okay? All right, so he's talking about Sheol here, and he says the small and the great are there. And the servant is free from his master. Yeah, you got your reward coming. 20, it says, wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul. Now, that's a question. Which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. So there are people that were born into tribulation. They just have been. And for them, death is a comfort. And there's a natural course of life that we all get there. Only the rich rich, triple rich person loves his life all the way to the end. Okay? I mean, really, there's a lot of evil out here. There is the voice of the oppressor. However, here, one thing we know is that every day is counted. And that God knows how many days you need, or whether to cut them short, or whether to go on, whether he wants you to live on, whether he has a purpose for you out there, or whether your purposes are done. All that's in the hand of the Lord, folks. We've learned that, haven't we? So you can be ready to go, and you just don't go. It's not your time yet. Okay. So here they are. In 22 it says, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. That's a question mark. 23, why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? So sometimes it seems like that. It seems like there's no way out. Okay? That's natural. 24, it says, for my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the waters. And that fits a lot of people. That fits a lot of people out here, folks. Just does. There's a lot of suffering in this old world. And I tell you, I just cannot believe what our world government, have they passed that law about intergenerational sex, as gross as that is, and then to see what's come pouring out here and the people being arrested. Can you imagine what has that young child done to deserve that? And it makes us thankful for the parents that we had here at the table. 24, it says, for my sign cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet. Yet trouble came. Okay. So he's trying to figure all this out as he goes here. He does not have all the answers. Okay, but see, as this goes on, his friends don't understand either. And they have scriptures. They have scriptures. A lot of them, the translators mark here, and a lot of them they don't mark. But these people are quoting. And they have it all wrong. See, the man that's grieving here, and he doesn't care about this world anymore. Well, what did Christ say? Love not this world, nor the things in it. Okay? We got to be able to give it all up for Christ, don't we? But now we got Eliphaz, the Temanite, that's going to answer back here in chapter 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? Question mark. But who can withhold himself from speaking? Question mark. Well, with that lead in, you think, uh-oh, he is going to grieve me. And that's absolutely true. 3, it says, behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. See, all those are good works. 5, it says, but now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Okay, 6, is not this thy fear, thy confidence, the uprightness of thy ways, and thy hope? Question mark. Remember, I pray thee, who ever perished, being innocent? Question mark. or where were the righteous cut off? Question mark. Oh boy, now he shows his stupidity right there. Because there's lots of people that got cut off. He needs to examine his doctrine closer. Look what happened to John the Baptist for telling the truth. Look what happened to all the innocent prophets that just told the truth, and their own people killed them. All right? So, a lot of bad happens to good people. Now he's going to quote Proverbs, and they do quote a lot of Proverbs in here. Proverbs 22:8. In 8 here it says, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. So now he's being accused of being wicked. Now here's double speak. Look here, up here you told of all his good works, where he was helping the lowly, and you're turning around and saying, well, look, you deserve this. And that's just not true. All right, in 9 it says, but the blast of God, by the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. So there is Isaiah 30:33, and that's not fitting here. That is for the ungodly. In the Old Testament here, in 30:33, that's talking about the ungodly, and he is surely not the ungodly here. Okay, you see how they don't know how to apply these scriptures. They are lacking in the Holy Ghost judgment. Okay? Think about this, Eliphaz, what you said about his good deeds here in the first few verses. And now you're saying that God's getting him for his sin, but yet you have no proof of it. You can't name what he did that was wrong. 10, it says, the roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now he's using a similitude of the old lion here. And that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit at all. This isn't because he got old and feeble. That's not it at all. He didn't get weak. He didn't start bowing to Satan in his old age. No. He's not an old man here. So that don't fit. Anyway, so this is a similitude of the old lion that's perishing for lack of nourishment. 12, it says, now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ears received a little thereof. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men. Fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Now this is still Eliphaz. Then a spirit passed before my face. The hair of my flesh stood up. Now here's another big one here. What kind of spirit is he talking about here? Because this hair standing up, that sounds like it's on the wrong side of the fear. You understand me? That's the ungodly fear. The fear of the Lord is a little bit different than this. This sounds like haunted house fear. Listen to this. 15, then a spirit passed before mine face. The hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, 17, shall mortal man be more just than God? Question mark. Shall a man be more pure than his maker? All right, well, that's true. But yet, what about this angel? What about this spirit? Okay, there's something wrong with that, isn't there, folks? Is that the way we have the angels coming before the saints? That's his description of it, and his hair was standing up and all this. I don't know. You tell me out there, folks. But obviously, the mortal man cannot be more just than God. Now, and he's aiming this right at Job here. Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels be charged with folly. Okay, well, that ain't exactly true here. All right? Because he did trust that Job would win this. He felt that God knew the inside of Job, and he knew that he would pass this test. Did he or did he not? Now, the angels are charged with folly. They're sending us to 2 Peter 2:4 for this. And we all know that the fallen angels were charged with folly. Okay, in 19, how much less on them that dwell in houses of clay? That's people of us. We're of the clay, we're of the dust of the ground, whose foundation is the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regard in it. Doth not their excellency which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. Okay, so see, all this is aimed at him, and it does not apply. And there are the angels of heaven and God Almighty that do regard people when they pass on, whether it is on this side or that side of Sheol. They are definitely regarded, so that doesn't fit very well. And he's talking about the angels that are charged with folly. And then he's talking about the human beings that are formed of the dust, and they're crushed before the moth. We discussed the Mothman and the angelic host there. So here's the people that are destroyed, in this case by the moth, and that would be by more on these angels. See, this is bouncing around pretty bad here. It says they are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regard in it. Now, that's pretty carnal. That's a carnal statement, isn't it? They're tame people. I mean, it just is. It's a very carnal statement. So now, even though he knew these scriptures here, he's starting to waver here. He's all over the place. And here it says, now their excellency, which is in them, that's these people, it goes away. They die even without wisdom. Well, that's not Job here. He is not without wisdom. Okay, so see, this is going to go on now. All right, folks, we're going to keep examining this stuff. But you can see where Eliphaz has got some knowledge, but it ain't real clear exactly what he's saying and how he's comparing this to Job. A lot of these are little gouges, it looks like, against Job. So there's intermingled statements in here that are not out of the Bible, okay? Like you seeing the angel and your hair standing up. That does not sound right, folks. There's a lot of angels that came before human beings here in the Bible, and I don't ever remember it being described like that. How about you out there, folks? Okay, well, we'll pick it up again. This is going to go on. This foolish talking is taking root here. So we'll pick it up again there in chapter 5 as we move on. Okay, bye.